Yo, this is John Hope Bryant, and this is the Money and Wealth podcast series, season two, on the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio. And this is a gut check episode. This is out of sequence. I didn't mean or intend to do this episode at this time. I would like to think that this episode is not actually necessary. But something has happened in the last week or so that has caused me to think and to feel, yes, to feel deeply that I need to double back and relay the foundation for this house. Before we start talking about building a business and and buying a house and buying assets and what is this and what is that and talking about all these exciting topics that I have coming up, family offices, etc. We've got to make sure we're not rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. This episode just might upset a few people because I'm coming right at you. I care about you enough to tell you the truth. And I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. And I wouldn't respect myself if I didn't tell you what I believe is the hard earned truth about success and about failure. There's a lot of attitude out here. And I hate to have to point out a group, but it is overwhelmingly coming from a group I absolutely am rooting for, that I want to win desperately: millennials. Um, the comments that I am reading are, on the one hand, inspiring because they're very ambitious, and on the other hand, extremely troubling because they're overconfident for no good reason. And God gave you two ears, all of us, including myself, two ears and one mouth, so we listen twice as much as we talk. Quincy Jones, God rest his soul. How'd you get so smart? John, I'm just nosy as hell. I want to know everything about everything. I look at the success that I've had. A lot of it has to do with me being nosy, of being curious, of literally seeking out success stories, the best in the game. This is way before social media, digital media. So you had to do it the hard way. You had to meet somebody somewhere and decide whether to talk or to listen. If you can meet them somewhere, I mean, you can meet this generation can meet anybody theoretically online, no matter how big the star is or how influential or wealthy or successful. If they're online, you can get a comment to them or a message to them. Heck, I'm reading your comments. That's why I'm doing this episode. So you can reach me. You are reaching me. If you see me commenting on particularly Instagram, I try to get to all the platforms, Facebook, etc., Threads, etc. But if you see me commenting or you see somebody commenting in my name, that's me. And typically I love the comment section. I live for the comment section because that's an opportunity to have a subtopic conversation, another opportunity to educate and to grow. A couple posts that I put out, and I don't talk unless I know what I'm talking about. If it's about health and wellness, I don't know a thing about that. I go to my wife, Shatra. If it's about spirituality, even though I think I'm deeply spiritual, I don't know a thing about religion and deep spirituality. I go to Ambassador Andrew Young, Reverend Dr. Cecil Chip Murray raised me, but I don't know a thing about this topic. I go to the hero, the iconic person in my life, Ambassador, Reverend Dr. Ambassador Andrew Young, who was on that balcony with Dr. King when he was assassinated, but also is a minister who marries and um, counsels and knows the Bible inside out. I go to Bishop T.D. Jakes, who's a friend also, and Reverend Dwight Andrews of First Church, where I just spoke this Sunday, where they're trustee Sunday. I go to people who are experts in their area. If it's entertainment, if it's music, I go to my brother T.I. or Killer Mike. Um, when the area is political, there are a wide range of folks I go to and I listen. Even though I was a presidential advisor for three different administrations from both parties, been recognized by five U.S. presidents, I've known nine U.S. presidents, but I am not political. So I don't presume that I have the answers there either. I call my head of government relations and public policy all the time, Janae Roscoe, asking questions. I'm nosy. I've succeeded on a grand level by anybody's definition, so I'm told. But I have 400 employees, not 4,000, not 40,000, not 400,000. So if I'm going to get to 4,000 or 40,000 or 400,000 employees, currently at 400. I need to talk to my Fortune 500 friends and ask questions and shut up and be curious and not just hear them, but listen, truly listen. I'm not hearing the silence of listening. I'm hearing to respond, or worse, hearing to react. Waiting for one's turn to talk. Wealth is a mindset. Please hear me. Labor, money can be made on labor for sure. Money has been made on labor. Um, but money makes more money on money than money will ever make on labor, and technology will follow after that. But the overarching um, component of wealth, and you want to come from the Latin root word capitalism or capitas. Capitas is Latin for knowledge in the head, loosely translated. That's also really about learning. And so when you stop learning, you start losing. You're rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. The ship is sinking, but we're picking drapes. And there was a a, a couple times where, again, I love a very interesting debate and discussion, but there was one post where I talked about the difference between poor neighborhoods and unfortunately a large number of black and brown neighborhoods are poor, and I grew up in one, so I have credibility to say it. They're poor white neighborhoods that are poor. Clearly, they're more poor whites in America than poor anybody else. Goes without saying. Anybody knows their facts. But these are neighborhoods that I grew up in. I was concerned about these neighborhoods, and I was complimenting the black community and brown community for most of this post. But I started out by saying that black and brown in poor neighborhoods tend to be noisy, urban neighborhoods, and wealthy neighborhoods tend to be quiet. Didn't mention the race. And clearly there are black neighborhoods that are wealthy. I've lived in many. We all know them. The emotionalism in the comments about people were triggered by the fact that there's some inference that um, I don't know what the inference was because I didn't say it but black and brown neighborhoods were only noisy. That was not the point at all. That's not what I said. It's not what I meant. Anybody knows me knows that's not what I meant. It was, and smart people in the comments would correct the others. Like, look, you guys are missing the point altogether. I mean, statistically, I hate to say it, but half of black communities have a credit score below 620. That's just a fact. So that means that the majority of our communities can't get access to prime credit. Now, you can call that what you want, but it's not a prime rate community and probably is a poor community. If you live in a 500, 600 credit score neighborhood, you're seeing a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, next to a pawn shop. Okay, that's going to be a lot of noise, physical. But what I'm really talking about is mindset, right? Mindset. People miss the memo altogether because they're so busy winning the battle. When you win the battle, you lose the war. You're picking up, you're stepping over a dollar to pick up a dime. And we got to knock this off. Um, there are people coming from completely separate disciplines. I'm a businessman, right? I'm talking about investments. I was literally talking about, I walk through life consciously oblivious of most things around me because it doesn't matter. I'm just quiet in the head. And while it is symbolic, a symbolic truth that poor neighborhoods, be they poor white, rural, or black and brown and urban, that these neighborhoods tend to be louder and noisier. It's just a lot of stuff going on. People aren't, you aren't um, building your own business. Typically, you're working somebody else's and you're entertaining yourself to keep yourself away from the stress. And you got a surviving mindset. A surviving mindset is different from a winning mindset or a building mindset. Surviving mindsets just tend to trade in drama and emotions. It's not an opinion, it's just a fact. The fact that folks could not even get beyond that to get to the point to talk about what I was really talking about, which is you can live in these neighborhoods as I did, as my friends did, and still walk through it with a clear, quiet mind because you cannot create symphonies, you cannot create beautiful music. When Quincy Jones went into the studio, the noise had to stop so the music would begin, so he could hear. At some point, in order to create genius, in order to create a business, or in order to do a budget, in order to have a serious conversation, or you need to think. You need time to reflect. You need to quiet the noise. All a patent is a monetized idea. You need a space and a place to create the idea. Ideas are not created in noisy environments. There's too much else. There's too many things competing for your focus. There's no time, space, or place for the magic of creation. We never got to that conversation. Let's fast forward beyond that. There's another brother who was referred to me by a very big celebrity. I don't want to name names, but this celebrity said you should speak to John Hope Bryant. And before that gentleman, who's a young man who brags about making 7 and 8 figures. If you're making that kind of money, you tend to not brag about it, by the way. But I'll get to this in a moment. Um, that guy just starts going off about he's got this paper, he's making 7 figures, 8 figures, he's doing cryptocurrency, he's doing stocks. He don't have time for talking to older dudes and listening to them talk about boring businesses, and real estate takes too long. And even though he says he owns real estate, it's a complete contradiction. Um, but he didn't ask me a question. He didn't even know who I was. He was too busy talking. I'm not concerned about me, I'm concerned about him. Because yes, anybody can make money in a moment, for a minute. But if you go far enough to the North Pole, you end up south. There's something about what's going on now where people actually, unfortunately, think, because I guess you can comment with anybody, the level playing field is level with digital media. Anybody can talk to anybody. So maybe anybody can think they can be anybody without the work. And let me tell you, that's wrong. Please hear me. Only in the dictionary does the word success come before the word work because it's alphabetical. If you don't learn this lesson, whoever you happen to be, you're going to fail. If you don't shut up and listen, you're going to fail. You may win the battle, but you're going to lose the war. At some point, the money's going to run out. The lights are going to turn off. The social media is going to turn to somebody else or morph into something else with AI. Who knows? But this game we're playing is going to be over because the fundamentals of success are basically the same. They haven't changed in ages. And I'm trying to break them down for you. And I'm doing it for free, right? It's free game. As Jay-Z said on his 444 album, which is a financial literacy album, in my opinion. I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. I'm giving it to you for none 99. So let's get into some fundamentals, right? Um, there's a difference between looking successful and being successful. So there are too many people, and particularly young people, who confuse ego, arrogance, and even raw intelligence. Very smart people out here. I mean, there's not many dummies I see in these comments. These people are really smart, but they confuse that with wisdom, resilience, and hard work. You see, it's hard to compete with me because I've been homeless. I've lost it all. I almost filed bankruptcy. I've written $100,000 check and given it to my chief of staff and said if the income does not revenue does not come in by this was Friday on Monday when payroll hits, cash my check. That's back when payroll for me was $100,000. I've slept in my office. I never got a payroll. I never had a fancy car. Um, um, well, at least not at that time. Um, I remember my car note was $427 a month for a long time. I didn't have a fancy place to live. I mean, my God, I mean, think about this. I've been in business now for 40 years ish, 30 years, since the founding Operation Hope. I think my first fancy house was uh, 15 years ago. Quasi fancy, really fancy, 7 years ago, something like that. Fancy cars, same thing. But I've been at this game most of my life. I've been at this game most longer than the folks who are in the comments. Many of them have been alive. I can't believe I'm saying that. 'Cause I feel forever young. But that is you hear your parents saying that, you hear your uncle saying that. I never thought I'd say it, but that is the truth. And my uncle used to tell me, my older folks would tell me the same. Shut up and listen, right? Do you know my I could not have given my I couldn't give my John O'Brien of 2020 could not give John O'Brien of 2025 advice. I'm not picking on you. I'm trying to save you time, space, and inconvenience. I'm trying to make sure you don't trip and fail because this world doesn't care about you. It's not about love or hate today. That was the old game. Today is increasingly radical indifference. People who don't care enough about you to hate you. They'd like you to fail. They'd like you to move aside. They don't mind you playing in your ego or in your drama. And do you know that 76% of all luxury goods are bought by poor and struggling people, not by the wealthy? They'd love you to buy all this stuff and spend all your time going to clubs and passing around business cards at 2 in the morning where you should be at home studying, trying to impress somebody. I don't know what you're trying to do. Leasing a car, leasing an apartment, or over tipping the doorman, or buying a first class plane ticket to Paris when you should be flying coach to Detroit to try to get a contract, or whatever the deal is. Trying to floss with friends or all these folks who are flying to different places just so they can get an Instagram photo. I don't know what people are doing, but you're wasting time, and all you really have is your time. You can mess with my money. You can't mess with my time. I'm ruthless about my time. You cannot waste my time. And part of why I'm doing this table setting podcast episode, this one is I want to make sure that I'm not wasting my time and wasting your time by giving you the tools, but not telling you what talents you need to focus on. So it is the wisdom which comes with time and experiences. It is the resilience. It is taking no for vitamins, is shaking things off, is moving on, getting through it, around it, to get to it. It's not talking bad, it's being bad. And being bad's not loud. It's not punching your chest. It's not banging on your chest. It's not popping your collar. It's popping payroll. It's paying your vendors on time. It's getting multi-year contracts. It's getting intellectual property rights in your name. It's getting um, real estate in your portfolio. It's owning patents. It's having a business with employees. It's having a business with a brand. It's showing up on time for a meeting or letting people know within 15 minutes you'll be there, so as not to be disrespectful. It's listening to people who've made it out of respect and regard, if nothing else, because you never know who you're going to meet them on the playing field of success. Be careful the toe you step on. Maybe connected to the rear end you've got to kiss tomorrow. And keep in mind, Truly successful people don't need you. I don't need to do this, right? So, do I remember people who were disrespectful to me? You bet I do. Do I make them pay a price? Nope. But will I give them the time of day? Probably not. Again, it's radical indifference. You need people to root for you. You need people to be invested in you, which means you need to be investable. Wisdom, resilience, hard work, basic stuff, humility. Somebody said people talk about humility. No, no, it's not. Forget being humility. We need to be loud and boastful, boastful. I don't know where people are getting this crazy stuff from. Where in God's name is humility not an asset? I may not be humble when I talk about my vision and my ideas. I'm very bold about that, but I have a humility about how I receive information and insights. We can disagree without being disagreeable. I'm not going to reject a possible lesson on its face. You may say 10 minutes of discussion to me if you're successful, and I may disagree with a lot of it. I might disagree in part because I've never been to where you are, and so I just have no context and already come with an opinion. But there may be one little nugget in there that made the whole conversation worthwhile. I need to shut up and listen. Maybe this episode should be called Shut Up and Listen. So let's now move to the mask of bravado. Surface level confidence is bravado. Showing off is bravado. Looking rich is bravado. I don't care about your chains, real or fake. I don't care about the car you're driving. I don't care about the house you're leasing or buy, whatever that you're in. I don't care about all this stuff and all this. This none of that matters. I care about your balance sheet, your income statement. I care about your credit rating, whether you pay your bills. Again, whether you have institutional credit access, as I do. I've done a $200 million credit facility. Have you? Not you, but um, without a personal guarantee. I have unsecured lines of credit for seven figures um, that get renewed repeatedly. I pay my bills on time. I have an organization that has a four-star charity navigator rating. That's my organization, Operation Hope, which is like a done in Bradstreet triple A bond rating. If you check the credit of my businesses, all of them, which are transparently available, you see that we run an honorable enterprise. You go check the Better Business Bureau, and they have things to say about how we do business. These are the things that you want on your record, not an Instagram post of you profiling for the record. Social media culture is over indexing on designer clothes, leased cars, fake luxury lifestyles. Posting a vacation on credit cards versus building a savings account is not smart. Do you know it? If you take $200 a month for 35 or 40 years, just that alone will make you a millionaire. Just that act alone. Imagine what we waste on stuff. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. There's one for you. You make money during the day, you build wealth in your sleep. There's another one for you, right? You want boring businesses, right? You want boring business advisors. You don't want people going to the club with you and going to want to hang out with you. And they're your business advisors. They're going to rob you blind. That's the last thing you want is your boys who are handling your money and your business hanging out with you if you are one to hang out. I was always the one who hung in, by the way. When I was coming up in business, this is a very interesting point. My boys, my friends growing up, this is why I'm so strong on this, right? Because I've been to this. I've been to this game before. I've been to this party before. I've read this memo before. All of my friends told me I was wasting my time studying. They told me I was wasting my time working, staying at home. Come out and hang with them, they'd say. Go have fun, be visible. I was like, that's cool. Go and do that. I mean, I'm not hating on your game. Go enjoy yourself. Fantastic. I mean, I had no opinion about what they were doing. I just knew what I was doing. Working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. An entrepreneur works 18 hours a day to keep from getting a job. All I know is today, including a call I got this afternoon, these same people are calling asking me for a job or for a contract or mad at me because they don't have either from me. You had the same option I had. You chose to invest your time or use your time elsewhere, and you thought you knew better than me. God bless you. Fantastic. But that didn't work out so well. So did it? Like literally, my folks who I grew up with, the folks who just chose a different path that I'm talking about here, literally all of them, if they're still with us, because a lot of it is prison, probation, parole, unfortunately, and death. As people know my story, know the two people before I was even 9 years old, close to me, were murdered right in front of me. But the rest of them are just struggling. And while I'm writing checks, they're trying to find some place to cash one. They're trying to get a job. There's nothing wrong with a job. But I think that in many ways they're smarter than me. They were smarter than me. They had more intelligent than me, but they didn't hustle better than me. They didn't study better than me. They didn't get their put their head down more than me. They weren't more resilient than me. They weren't more consistent than me. I do the same thing over and over and over and over again. That is compounding. That's if you don't have inheritance in money, you should have inheritance as in hustle. And hustle on hustle creates more hustle. That plus organization and paperwork creates a businessman or a businesswoman. Can I get an amen? Bravado is buying liabilities to impress. Real confidence is building assets to sustain. Good debt is tied to something that could rise in asset value. Bad debt is tied to financing something that decreases in asset value, like financing jewelry or whatever, or a lease for a Lamborghini you can't afford, or whatever. The substance of confidence. Real confidence is competence plus consistency plus humility. I would add also self-esteem, true self-esteem. If I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about me. If I don't love you, if I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about you. If I don't love me, I can't love you. If I don't respect me, I don't have a clue how to respect you. If I don't have a purpose in my life, I'll make your life a living hell. Whatever goes around comes around. So you can have high confidence and still have low self-esteem. And if you have low self-esteem, you're gonna make the wrong choices. In fact, you're gonna start making emotional decisions, and I guarantee you that every emotional decision is going to be a bad one. See, you're getting a real everybody listening to this podcast is getting the benefits of the frustration that someone delivered to my digital door this week. So please take it all in. I'm giving you crib notes, shorthand for success. So you walk right around the stuff that just does not work. I'm telling you this stuff will not work. I'm banking my whole net worth and reputation on it. If I'm wrong, don't listen to me another day, right? But success is pretty obvious, and so is failure. Wisdom equals time plus scars plus reflection. Rainbows after storms. How could you possibly have wisdom at 25 years of age? You have intelligence, but you don't have the experiences. I was homeless at 18. That didn't mean I had wisdom by 25. See what I'm saying? I had a hustle, I had hard work, I was smart, but I didn't have I mean, the stuff that I know now, oh my God, the people who I spent time trying to impress, who I now, upon reflection, I didn't want to be like. Oh my God, I just wish I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self, my 25-year-old self, my 30-year-old self to knock it off. Stop trying to impress somebody you don't want to be like. Here's the financial layer. Here's I want to make smart sexy. Here's sexy. A 700 credit score. That's quiet confidence. It open doors. A savings cushion. That's peace of mind. It's not a flex. Investing monthly. That's discipline that builds freedom. And I mean, you can invest $25 in a fractional investment account. It doesn't have to be big dollars. You can save 50 to 100 bucks, right? And I just told you, you do that repeatedly, compounding, you'll be a millionaire by the time you're at age for retirement. Confidence is when your bank statement speaks louder than your Instagram. Hello, can I get an amen? The trap for millennials. This is why this generation is vulnerable. I've already said you're brilliant, but this is why you're vulnerable. Social media pressure to be big by 30. Just forget about it. Knock it off. You'll live to 90 or 100 years of age if you take care of yourself. This is a rounding error. Don't, 30 is just the first leg of the marathon, and you should be trying to get base hits and butts and not a home run. Hank Aaron had the record for the most home runs, but he also had the record for the most strikeouts. So did my friend Reggie Jackson. I knew Hank Aaron and Reggie Jackson. Reggie is still with us and is a great businessman. And believe me, he'd be saying amen on all I'm talking about what really sustains the work. I mean, my man Alex Rodriguez would say the same thing. He had a bunch of strikeouts, but people only focus on the home runs, the flashy part. Student debt plus rising living costs is a vulnerability, even though I think student loan debt, if you get your degree, could be an asset. So I'm not hating on that, but I'm just saying these are vulnerabilities that I didn't have in my generation growing up. Confusing intelligence, smart ideas with wisdom, proven decisions. Please write that down. Go back and listen to this part again with somebody you love. Here's some stats for you. Average first time millionaire age 57. That's a sustainable millionaire. Anybody can make money for a minute. You can make it 3, 4, 5 years later, it's gone. 70% of all professional athletes bankrupt in 5 years. 70% of all those who win the lottery. As far as I'm concerned, if you're doing crypto trading or you're doing, I have no problem with crypto. I'm just saying this is literally true because most cryptocurrencies failed, by the way. But if you're a future, you're an options future trader. You're a day trader, whatever. Okay, you're trying to make quick money, whatever. However you're trying to do it, right? You just want it now. The chance of you being bankrupt or broke in 5 to 10 years is about 70% because you don't have the discipline and because there is no if you find a free lunch, it's probably stale. Again, success only becomes before the work because it's because in the dictionary because it's alphabetical. Every place else is just the work. And it takes 20 years to change a culture, including your own, to build a culture. That's a Quincy Jones quote, right? But folks don't want to wait 20 years. They want it in 2 years. Well, you can get something in 2 years, but it may not be sustainable. You may be rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, but it's blinging, singing, and people are telling you what you want to hear. And you think that what you're doing right now is going to last. Don't believe what I'm saying. Investigate it for yourself. First generation makes it, second generation spends it, third generation loses it. Because the generation didn't learn the lessons of the second, and the third generation just thought it was going to last forever. And if you made the money and you didn't have hurt or pain tied to it, you think that it's here forever, that you don't have to work hard for it, and you give it away easy. I'm not giving away $10,000. I know what I'm not giving away $2,000, and I can afford both easily. I'm not giving away a dime, right? I still pick up a dime if I see it on the ground. By the way, when I ran a business, multi the business I sold for $120 million, actually, my partners had wired me in this example. I don't want to say exactly how much, but it was tens of millions of dollars. Do you know they never asked me for a financial statement or an audit? I did one anyway and gave it to them, but they just knew I wasn't going to go rent a limousine. They knew I wasn't going to go do 5-star hotels with penthouse suites with their money. They knew I wasn't going to rent a jet or lease a jet or do net jets or trying to they knew I was flying at most business class, but really I'd fly coach and get upgraded. They knew I was going to treat their money like it was mine with humility. The average millionaire, first time millionaire, 57 years of age. Most overnight successes took 10 to 15 years of grinding to get there. And every legitimate millionaire, a real one, um, has real estate, boring real estate in their portfolio. The path to real success. Keys to move from bravado to true confidence. Hard work. Show up every day. It's not in late, long lunch, leave early. It's show up early, stay late, and forget a break. Resilience. Fail, learn, keep moving, rinse and repeat. Wisdom. Learn from mentors, mistakes, and time. Purpose. Anchor in something bigger than your ego. I cannot stress that enough. Folks I see coming with me with ego and all that drama, I can't, I would never invest in them. I wouldn't tell them. I don't want to fight. I don't want an argument. I just keep it moving. Fine. That works for you. You think that works for you? Great. There are nobody, the biggest, the most successful people. I don't mean the loudest people. I'm not people who are rocking a mic. I'm talking about folks who own the mic, the folks who own the stage, the folks who own the venues, the folks who own the licensing rights, the publishing rights, the folks who own the hotels. You have there's a family that own the Four Seasons Hotel on Doheny. I know the family, the Four Seasons of Doheny, Four Seasons Hotel on Doheny uh, uh, in Los Angeles. I know I've known the family for 30 years now. You would never not know their name, even though you know the names of everybody coming through their doors because they're celebrities. But the celebrities just are renting a room. This guy owns the room. You have no idea who he is. That's gangster, right? Wealth, true wealth is quiet, right? Or it's not intentionally loud. Financial layers. Start automatic savings. Confidence in knowing you're covered, right? Invest $200, $300 a month early. The boring millionaire play. I just told you you'll be a millionaire by age 65. Do that $200 a month. Build credit to prime, 700 credit score, because that's truly gangster. The computer just says yes at midnight to whatever it is reasonable you ask for. Own something, a stock, a home, a small business, something sustainable, something real, something foundational, something I'd want to buy. I learned to stop chasing the appearance of success and start building the infrastructure of success. What I'm doing now is building economic plumbing for an entire group of people, everybody who's struggling. That's why I have 1,500 offices in 42 states. Nobody has infrastructure like that serving the people who are trying to come up. No one, right? I've done that by grinding, by working, by having my head down. And that's a $75 million a year plus budget. That's just one organization, not the other four divisions that I have through John O'Brien Enterprises. And my wife will tell you all I do is work. And I love it. It's not work for me. I enjoy it. But a lot of my friends who have the yachts and the this and the that, they'll tell me, John, they'll throw me the keys. You can take my yacht or take my car, because they don't have time to drive them. They don't have time to use it because they're off fulfilling commitments. A lot of my stuff sits in the garage. I love racing. Anybody knows me. I love driving race cars. If I can get there one day a month, 2 days a month, my God, that's a treat. But I do that after the work. After the work. At some point, I'll be able to enjoy this much with much more time. But at the moment, I'm in the venue, and capitalism is a gladiator sport. If I don't take the seat, somebody will take it from me. And if I'm not continuing to learn, somebody's going to clock me because they've been learning while I was out flossing, which is not going to happen to me, by the way. I may go out, I'm not going out that way. You want to be Netflix, not Blockbuster. You want to be Walmart, Amazon, not Sears or Macy's, or not Macy's. I'm sorry. Sears or Macy's is still with us and still thriving. Actually, Sears or Kmart or J.C. Penney's, which is still hanging on, but just barely. But you get my point. Are we projecting or are we building? Here's my question to you: are we investing or are we spending? There's a difference. I think I'm investing my time. I might be wasting my time if people are not getting the memo. That's what frustrated me about the comments. I was taking my time to try to answer what I thought was an intelligent set of questions, having a truly robust discussion. And folks just want to say something they think is funny or cool, which meant that just wasted my entire time. It didn't offend me because not none of that affects my self-esteem or my belief in my or 1 ounce of my life. It just wasted my time. I want to encourage humility, mentorship, and patience. Again, I've followed my leaders, people who I have great relations today. I follow them 1 year, 2 years. I emails, occasional meetings. 2 years, 10 years, right? I invested in them so they would see the investment back in me that was worthwhile. But I always made sure my signature was listening more than I talked. Here's a call to action for you. Audit your finances and audit your time and audit your environment. If you hang around nine broke people, you're going to be the 10th. You hang around nine loud people, you're going to be the 10th. You hang around nine boisterous people, nine arrogant folks. We confuse confidence with arrogance because we don't see a lot of confidence. Confidence is not boastful. That's not confidence. That is arrogance. And arrogance is tied to insecurity. When you're confident, you're competent. There's no need to scream and holler. Your work speaks for yourself, for yourself, and for what you're building. It speaks for it. Your work is your brand. If your wealth is in your closet or your car, you're living bravado. You can't fake wisdom. Real folks will see you coming. You can't fake wealth. Build both the right way. And if you have some money left over from your first budget, which is your living budget, and your second budget, which is your investment budget, and you got enough room in your third budget, which is your flossing and enjoyment budget, God bless you. Go lease that Ferrari or buy it. Go take on your vacation. Go. I have a nice watch. I've got nice things, right? But make sure you're taking it from the right pocket and the right pool, and don't be a fool. So this has been hopefully helpful to you. That mindset is more valuable than money. Mindset actually is wealth. That you can be educated, but that doesn't mean you have wisdom. You can win the battle, but you may not be winning the war. You may be stepping in mess and not stepping over it. If you do this wrong, somebody's going to tell you to let the doorknob hit you where the dog should have bit you. If you do this wrong, you may be stepping on the toe of somebody whose rear end you've got to kiss a little later. If you do this wrong, you've made the cash, but you didn't build the wealth. If you do this wrong, you burn the bridge that you got to cross over later. If you do this wrong, nobody's going to care when you find out that you're out of air. I want you to win. I want those you know to win. If you know somebody, this doesn't relate to you, your mindset's right, tight, and full of light. But you know somebody who needs to listen to this message. Share this podcast with them. Ask them to subscribe because this is my ministry of finance every week. No one else is going to talk to you like this. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want you to turn away from them. I care about you enough to tell you the truth. And the truth is that I can't guarantee you that being positive is going to make you a success. But I absolutely guarantee you that being negative and rude and nasty and arrogant is going to make you fail. No one wants to be bothered with all that drama. No one wants to hear all of that. It sounds cool, but you look like a fool. Real success whispers. This is John O'Brien. This is Money and Wealth. This is the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio. This has been another episode of season 2 in my growing library of success formulas for you. Let me know when you see me around what you want me to talk about, and I will make sure to put it in rotation for the information. This is John O'Brien, investing in you. See you at the success table. I'll make sure I save a seat just for you.